أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين
آمين.
ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما أجمعين إن شاء الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to LQ Milton, class number 62, inshallah. Today we'll begin lesson number 16 in book 2. But before we begin the lesson, Dr. Saab has used a verb in lesson number 16 which needs some explanation. And I think it's a good segue for us to further our understanding of the verbs. As far as the nouns are concerned, we have learned so much about nouns and the basic form of verbs. From now onwards, we will be doing the deep dive into the verbs, and it will get complicated. Okay, but inshallah we'll try to handle the complication with ease, slowly, bit by bit, drop by drop. Okay, because verbs are very important. So today I wanted to, nouns are easy. Nouns are easy, marfu, mansub, and majroor, and then we know different kind of nouns and the plurals and the singulars and whatnot. But verbs from now on will get a bit more intense. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but what I'm saying is that this is a topic that most people found difficult to understand. So what is a verb? A verb is an action, and we know whenever there's an action, there has to be a doer of the action. Without the doer of the action cannot happen. So fail and the file has to be minimum requirement for a verb to complete is fail and the file. So far, we've been learning about fail, sulasi, mujarrid, or the sound 3-letter verbs. Nazala is a sound 3-letter verb, and the pattern is fa'ala. Fa kalima, ain kalima, and lam kalima. Right? We know we've been doing these verbs for so long now. We understand what is going on here. Kharaja, Salaha, Salima, Rada, and Kama. So they're all 3-letter verbs, and we can identify fa kalima, ain kalima, and lam kalima in all 3 of them. Right? In all 3 of them. What is the meaning of nazala? He came down. Kharaja, he left. We know that. This is the most used verb in book 2. Salaha, he became good. Salima, he became safe. Rada, he walked about. Qama, he stood up. Right? We know them. We know all of them. And this is all fail madi, past tense, 3-letter. 3-letter sound verbs. Well, these two are not sound, but we'll talk about it. What is the mudare? Nazala, yanzilu. Kharaja, yakhruju. And so on and so forth. And then we can conjugate all the 14 mudare form. Yakhruju, yakhrujani, yakhrujuna, you know, we can do that. Takhruju, takhrujani, takhrujna. So we can do that. Verbs, when I am going to use a term, and this is my own term, are free verbs. What it means, they can float. And when they float, they go into different forms in Arabic language. And when they go into different forms, the emotions around them change. The emotions around them change and the meaning slightly change. Not change by a great deal, but somewhat the meaning change and the emotions around them change. So these are called, for now, and I'm only giving this concept because slowly we will learn about them. When we call the forms of verb, there are 10 forms for each verb. So verbs can float or can, let me just correct myself. There are 10 forms of verbs, but each verb can move or float into different forms of verb. So not necessarily each verb has all 10 forms. It could have 2 forms or 3 forms or 4 forms, or it could have only 1 form. So dictionary will tell us. So what I'm saying is that when a verb, for example, nazala, the meaning is he came down. This is called form 4. So there are 10 forms, right? There are 10 forms. And slowly we will learn about all 10 forms. But since Dr. Saab has used form 4 in lesson number 16, so we will start with form 4. Okay? Form 4. What is the pattern here? Fa'ala. When this verb, the 3-letter sound verb, move into form 4, the pattern becomes af'ala. What is an augmented letter here? This hamza. This hamza comes in and will make the fa as sakun, the sakun, right? So it becomes af'ala. Bit by bit, okay? So nazala, when moves into form 4 or fly or float into form 4, it becomes anzala on a pattern of af'ala. Akhraja, aslaha, aslama, arada, aqama. Now I'll explain what this is. Okay, so this is form 4 as well. What is the meaning now? Nazala means he came down. But when form, the 3-letter sound verb moves into form 4, the meaning is he sent down. Inna anzalna. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't use nazala there. He used anzala. Right? And in the same surah, tanazzalu, that is form 6. It has a different emotions and different feeling around it. When we come to the form 6, we will do that. So in Quran, different forms of verbs are used, and the emotions and then the environment around them got changed, and I'll talk about it a little bit here. Okay. Kharaja, when it moves or flows into form 4, it becomes akhraja. Meaning is he brought something, he brought out something or someone. Aslaha, he made someone something good. Aslama, he made someone or something safe. Arada, he wanted, wished. This is the verb that Dr. Saab has used in lesson number 16. Arada. And I'll tell you what this is. Aqama means he made something, someone stand up. Now, what's so special about form 4, right? Let's talk about some of the attributes. There are many attributes. It's a reflective of form 10, and then I'm not going to too much, just two or three main differences. We know transitive verbs and we know non-transitive verbs, right? Mutaddi verbs and the ghair mutaddi verb. If the verb is ghair mutaddi or not transitive, when it moves into form 4, it becomes mutaddi. That's why nazala is a non-transitive verb. He came down. We don't need mafulun bihi or object, right? But then when it moves into form 4, anzala, he sent down. Now my mind is wondering, he sent down what? Or he sent down whom? Now I need a mafulun bihi. So that's number one. That's number one. So, and if the verb is already mutaddi transitive, then it will make it double transitive, doubly transitive, right? So, inna anzalna hu, indeed we have sent it down. Who is your mafulun bihi, and na is your. So that's number one. Number two, when somebody is entering into time or into space, that's when we used form 4 as well. Asbaha, sabaha, asbaha, asbaha in a form which means to enter into morning. To enter into morning. Those are the two main ones. There are a few others as well. We're not going to too much detail because that'll get a bit complicated. But you see how the emotions or the environment around the verb has changed. Similarly, form 2 is fa'al. I will probably do it later. There are 10 forms. So every single time when a verb flows from one form to another form, its meaning changed a bit, and the environment and the emotions change a bit, right? And that's when we will understand the emotions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. Now, one thing to remember, like I said, there are 10 different forms. Each verb not necessarily have all 10 forms. It may have 2 or 3. It may one verb may have form 2 or form 4 or form 6 and not the other forms. The dictionary will tell us. Okay, so we don't have to memorize it. Just to let you know. That's number one. That's one concept. So today we are only introducing form number 4 at a high level.
So what we have learned for. Okay, so I was just wondering what we have learned for. Is that called a form, type of the form 2?
No, form 1 or fail sulasi mujarrad. So, just a high-level concept, okay? Now we know what the forms are. That's all we remember. And afala had some characteristics, unique characteristics, right? That's number 1. Nazala, yanzilu. Yanzilu, is it Mudare?
Yes.
It is Mudare. It is Mudare. What is the sign of it being Mudare? Ya. And it is marfu?
Yes.
It is marfu. What is sign of it being marfu? Dhamma. We know that. We have done that. This is another concept, okay? When a verb becomes a 4-letter verb, the Mudare will get the Dhamma. So in Quran, sometimes when we see a Mudare with a Dhamma on it, don't get confused. That's a good, because it is a 4-letter verb now. Okay, don't get confused. Like, I mean, all along I have been learning about Mudare, and then the sign of Mudare has a fatah on it.
It's a very good thing.
But then if in Quran we come across a verb which has a dhamma on the sign of Mudare, it means it is a 4-letter verb. Second concept. Easy. Huh? Easy to remember. That's number one. Af'ala is 4-letter. Form 2 is also 4-letter. Fa'ala, kassara, yukassiru. We'll do it. The third concept is a concept of weak verb. Some verbs are weak in nature. Okay, this is the most, I think, most complicated concept. Most people say weak verbs make us weak. That's not true. We will exercise, and then inshallah we'll understand the concept. There are 3 letters in Arabic language which are weak in nature. What are those 3 letters?
Ya.
Alif, waw, and ya. Right? Nazala, kharaja, salaha, salima, rada, qama. Do I see any weak letter in rada and qama? I see alif. Right? Waw could be there, or ya could be there too. Okay, waw or ya could be there too, but we are not. So whenever these weak letters enter into a verb, it makes the verb weak. It makes the verb weak. That's all we need to remember at this point in time. Second thing about, if there is an alif, and the reason I'm saying it because when we'll conjugate yuridu, there is a confusion there. If there is an alif in a verb, a weak verb, there's either waw or ya hiding behind it. Get it? There is a waw. Just give me a second, okay? If there is an alif in the verb, there is either a waw or a ya hiding behind it, and I don't know what is hiding behind it unless these verbs become mudare. So arada is and I'm not going to into a detail. Arada means he wanted or he wished. What is the mudare for it? Yuridu. You see how there is an alif there, but now I see the ya there as an kalima. This is the augmented letter, the hamza, indicating to me that this is a form 4, right? Am I going, like, are we getting it? This is the fa kalima, this is the an kalima, and this is the lam kalima, right? Af'ala, arada. And don't ask me why there is not a sukoon on the fa kalima. That's a topic for some other time. But when arada moves into a mudare forms, I know it's a 4-letter verb, so the sign of mudare become a dhamma. B, hiding behind this alif is the ya. And when it moves into the mudare form, it manifests itself. It presents itself. Okay, I am coming out in mudare form. Qala. Qala is a verb frequently used in Quran. What is the mudare form? Yaqulu with the waw. You see, alif is there. It's a weak verb. Qala is a weak verb. Alif is there. We call it ajwaf. In the middle, there is an alif. But when it moves into mudare form, and yaqulu and taqulu, used in Quran, taquluna, all its 14 pronouns, they're used in Quran all the time, right? The waw just comes out behind the alif. So if you remember this concept, this is the basic concept of weak verbs. So either a waw enters, or a ya enters, or an alif enters into a verb, it will make verb weak. And since it make the verb weak, the conjugation start to, the usual conjugation that we are used to becomes a bit different. We'll practice it later, but I'm just saying that's what it is. So these are some concepts that we need to, and we'll keep repeating them. Keep repeating them. Arada becomes yuridu. I know that this is a 4-letter verb because the sign of Mudare got the Dhamma. B, the Ain Kalima, there is a Ya hiding behind it and it comes out in the Mudare form. Ali bhai, get it? Hua form, yuridu.
So when we saying they're hiding, so that alif is actually ya in Uridu.
Yeah, technically it's a ya. It's technically,
It's just
you're
showing
right.
as alif.
It's just showing as an alif. You're absolutely right. Technically it's a ya behind it, but it's just alif is there. There are verbs with a waw in them or ya in them. That's not the case with the waw and the ya. Waw and ya means waw and ya,
Yeah.
but only with the alif.
Alif,
Either there's a waw hiding behind it or there's a ya hiding behind it, and that comes out in the Mudare
yeah.
form.
And alif is silent always, right?
Alif is
Always
silent.
silent, yeah.
Exactly. Alif is silent. Yuridu, arada, he wanted, and since you said that, if I become a bit more brave and introduce, you see, af'ala becomes arada because alif already has a sakoon in there. If I put a sakoon on the fa kalima, then there is altakai sakinani, the meeting of those sakoons, and alif has to drop. And if alif, because alif is a weak letter, then alif will drop and it will destroy the verb.
Yeah,
Kamran bhai?
of course.
No?
Bit advanced.
But you got it.
I think so.
Yeah, because if I follow and this is a weak letter, weak verb. The weak verbs have some different rules around them. So, but I think yeah, no, it's okay. We this is a weak verb because there's an alif there. That's all we remember now, and this is form 4. That's it. Arada.
I think that will come. That's gonna help when the conjugation comes.
When the conjugation comes, then we will do the conjugation,
Exactly.
and that's
And we
more
will be
clear.
able to
Yeah,
exactly.
because I think at this point in time,
Right.
there are different forms, 10 forms of verb. This is form 4 on a pattern of af'ala, and then there's different environment around, and meaning could be a little bit different. It would not be drastically changed. The meaning would not be drastically changed. There would still be some flavor of form 1 or three-letter sound verb, but then there are different feel to it, to that verb. And then if it's a 4-letter verb, then the Mudare will get the Dhamma. We'll keep practicing and repeating it. Yuridu, yuridani. Yuridu, where is the file? Huwa. Mustatir taqdiruhu huwa. Is it marfu? What is the sign of it being marfu? Dhamma. And we did that. Yuridani. 2 of them wished something, right? Or wanted something. Where is the sign of it being marfu? Noon. Where is the file? Alif. Yuriduna. Where is the file? Waw is the file. Where is the sign of it being marfu? Noon. Where is the sign of it being mudare? You. You. Turidu. Here. Turidani. Yuridna. What happened here? When the noon comes, when the noon comes, the lam kalima will get the sukoon. The lam kalima will get the sukoon. And this is what I was talking about. Yuridu. Yuridu. Right? I'm off the charts, but that's okay. Bring Nunu Niswa here. That's okay now. At Hunna, when this Nunu Niswa come, the Lam Kalima will get the Sakoon. Sakoon. This also already has a Sakoon there. Right? Ya already has a Sakoon. It is a concept called Altakai Sakinani, or meeting of the two Sakoons. And in Arabic language we cannot pronunciate when the two Sakoon. Which one of these is the weak letter?
Yeah.
Ya. Ya drops. Ya cannot hold itself. What's left? Yuridna. There is a formula there. It's mathematical. That's why it's called yuridna, not yurid. We cannot say it because ya has a sakoon on it and has to drop. That's why it's yuridna. But if you remember this concept, fine. If don't worry about it. When the lesson comes for Form 4, we will conjugate it properly. Turidu, turidani, turiduna, turidina, turidani, turidna. Again, antunna, turidna. Uridu, nuridu. Uridu, I want. Nuridu, we want. Yuridu, he wants. Turidu, she wants or wished. Turiduna, you all want. Right? Turidna, you all want, females, second person. So this is the verb that is used in lesson number 16. Now Dr. Saab used the verb arada, so I think this is a best way to introduce the weak letters, the weak verbs, and form 4, because arada is form 4. But Zarak Bhai, you understand why?
Yes.
You understand that point, right? Because you had a prior knowledge. Because we don't want to destroy the verb. Because if I use the proper format, then alif has to drop and then it's gone. The verb is gone. Just a basic introduction. Let's start the lesson. Lesson number 16, page number 109. In this lesson, a lot of repetition of the concepts we have already learned, except for arada yuridu, or different forms of yuridu. 109. Al-Abu, the father. So, when we're reading the Quran next time, just watch for the verbs. Watch for the verbs, and then found if we can find form 4. There are a lot of form 4. All different forms of verbs are used. Form 2 and 4 and some other forms are used mostly. 10 is not that much. But look for form 4. Tanazzalu is form 6. Nazala is also used. Form 4 is used, 6 is used, 5 is used. So we'll watch for these things.
called possessive?
Hmm?
Is it also called possessive?
No.
Possessive.
No, possessive. No. What do you mean by possessive?
Because I remember like whenever.
Passive voice. You probably think of active voice, passive voice. We are not doing the majul yet. Don't go there. This is all active voice. This is all active verbs. We're not going into lam yalid walam yulad. That's active and passive. But we'll do it later. Right? Al Abu, the father said, Aturiduna shayyan. Now, are these transitive verbs?
Yes.
Yes. So what do they need? Object. They need object, mafulun bihi. And mafulun bihis are always nouns. Well, not always. And they will be mansub. Turiduna shayyan. Turiduna. He's talking to his sons. So he's addressing them in antum form. Turiduna, do you all want? Want what? Shayyan, something. Minas suki yabnai, from the market, oh my sons. Now we get it, right? Now we know what turiduna means. Ana al-ana azhabu ilal masjidi. Ana, I am, right now, al-ana, zarf, azhabu. Zahaba, yazhabu. 5 in your pocket. Simple, basic verb. 5 in your pocket. Yazhabu, tazhabu, tazhabu, azhabu, nazhabu. 5 in your pocket. Azhabu means I am going. I am right now going. Ilal masjidi, jarun wa majrurun, to the masjid. Va, and now, sa azhabu. This is something I think we have discussed in the past.
Future tense.
Yes, harfu istiqbal, future tense. You see, in Arabic language, mudare form, this mudare form here represents not only present tense but also future tense. We know that. But if I want to exclusively use a verb for future tense, then I use harfu istiqbal, seen. Sa azhabu. Azhabu, I am going. Sa azhabu, I will go.
In the near future.
In the near future. And there is another particle which is sawfa. Kalla sawfa ta'lamun, summa kalla sawfa ta'lamun. There is also a particle of futurity, but in distant future. That's the only difference. So the Abu, the father is saying, Vasa sa'azhabu, and I will go ila suki, to the market, jarun majrur, ba'da salat, after the salat, after the prayers. Ba'da is your zarf and the salati is your mudaf alayh. We have already done that. Al-abnau, the sons, they said, na'am. Yes. Harful jawab. Nuridu. We want, we wished. Nuridu, we want. We want what? Now I have to bring the object, mafulun bi. We know mafulun bi, object, right? Now, verbal sentence, minimum requirement is an action and the doer of the action, fail and the file. But sometimes you also need to whom the action has been performed. So in this case, this is a verb which needs a mafulun bihi or the object. So they're saying nuridu ashya'a, we need things, kasiratun, many things. Kasiratan. Why kasiratan? Because it is a not for ashya. Not for ashya, adjective for ashya. And since ashya is mansub, therefore kasiratan is also mansub. Al-Abu said, Maza turidu ya Umaru. Now he's only addressing to one of his sons. You see how Dr. Saab is bringing in different forms of verbs here? He used turiduna when he was addressing all the sons. Right? And then the son said, Nuridu, we want. Now he's only asking Umaru, his one son. Maza turidu ya Umaru. What do you want, O Umar? Umar said, Uridu. I want. Arada, Uridu. I want. Qalaman. I want what? Qalaman, mafulun bihi, a pen. Simple sentences, but good for understanding. Al-Abu said, Ama indaka qalaman? A comes. What do we know about A? Hamzatu Istifham. We learned about it in many classes before. It always comes in the beginning of the sentence, right? Do you not have a pen? Ama indaka? Do you not have qalaman, a pen? Qalamun? There is no reason for it to be mansub because I said qalaman, qalamun. Umar said bala. Now bala,
Yes.
of course. Today in the Fajr times, Sheikh Riyad, he was reciting Bala man aslama. Of course we accepted Islam or embrace Islam. Actually, aslama is come here. It also means to embrace Islam. To become safe, you embrace Islam, right? So I think he used that. So Bala is used in Quran. So what's the difference between Naam and Bala? Naam is harful jawab. When the question is asked, when a question is simply asked without negation, we answer it with Naam.
No.
But if the question is asked in negation, do you not have a pen? Then you say Bala, of course.
It's
Then
the
we
other way
use
around.
it's the other way around. So you see, these are the emotions so that means if in that ayah, I forgot the entire ayah, but I remember Bala man aslama, and aslama because I knew my mind was working towards the class, we're gonna use the aslama. So that means a question was probably asked to those folks in negation.
Like Allah says, Amina your Rabb.
Amana your Rabb. So then
Bala.
they would say Bala.
Yes.
They would not say Naam, Bala, of course.
Yeah.
And then using the Bala has different emotions to it, right? So the question is asked in negation, we use Bala. Then Umar said, Bala indi qalamun azraku. Indi qalamun azraku. What kind of jumla is this? Indi qalamun azraku.
Jumla ismiya.
Ismiya. Ismiya. Where is the mubtada?
Mubtada is
Khabar? You mean the color?
is the khabar muqaddam hai na?
Yeah, khabar is coming before the. You see, the normal sequence of a jumla ismiya, nominal sentence is mubtada and khabar, right? And khabar is of 5 types. We know that. But if the khabar is jar majroor, well, khabar can be jar majroor, khabar can be zarf, khabar can be a verbal sentence, a nominal sentence, or it could be mufrad, one word, right? There are 5 types of khabar. Sometimes the khabar can come before the mubtada, and that is the only case with zarf and jar majroor. Mufrad, jumla ismiya and jumla fe'liya can never come before the mubtada if they are the khabar, right? If they are the khabar. So in this case, indi, why do they do that? Sometimes why this happens? Because this is an emphasis. He said, Bala, yes, I have a pen. So there are emotions attached to it. Indi, qalamun, azraku, I have a blue pen. I do have a blue pen. He's saying that Bala.
So Indi is the color blue?
Indi is the zarf and mudaf alayh. Indi is the zarf and mudaf alayh. Khabar muqaddam. Khabar is coming before the mubtada. Another rule to remember, and there are so many rules. If you remember, that's fine. If you don't, I mean, I'm just saying when zarf and mudaf alayh and jar majroor or muqaddam, then the mubtada after them will be not definite, indefinite, not definite. Mubtada is always definite, right? Samad bhai?
Sorry.
Mubtada is definite.
Right,
right?
exactly.
But in this case, Mubtada is not definite.
Right.
Why? Because it is coming after
After the khabar.
after the khabar. After zarf and or jar majrur, then it will be indefinite. So just something to remember. Because if you're reading Quran and something, an ayah comes in and I'm thinking about, okay, why the mubtada is indefinite? Because it is probably coming after zarf. Azraqu means blue, and it is a diptote. Al-mamnu min as-sarf. We know diptote, right?
We did it before.
Yeah, we did it, yeah. But then Umar said, Uridu, I want what? Qalaman. What kind of qalaman? Ahmara. Red pen. What kind of? So ahmara is the adjective, naat. And why is it mansoob? Because qalaman is mansoob. And why qalaman is mansoob? Because it's the object for uridu. Al-Abu said, Maza turidu anta ya amru. What do you want, O Amru? This is another very beautiful, strong concept in Arabic language. You see, Maza turidu anta. If I remove anta from this sentence, does it still make sense?
Yeah.
It still makes sense, right? But if I bring anta, that brings more emphasis. Innaka anta tawwabur rahim. In this ayah, if I remove anta, then still grammatically the ayah is correct.
Is it badal?
No, it's emphasis. Badal, it's not badal. Badal comes after ismu ishara. Innaka anta tawwabur rahim. If I remove anta from this ayah, grammatically that is still correct. Now the question is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sorry.
Doesn't it mention anta because it's changing, like he's, instead of asking Omar, he's asking Amr, so to signify that change, that's why he's saying anta?
It could be that too, it signifies, but it is coming from emphasis. Because there are two different names.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into it because that's not the topic. Amru and Umru.
No, I mean,
yeah.
since he's addressing his second son.
His second
now, right?
son, yes,
To,
yes. What do you
signify
want?
that
What do
he's
you
addressing
want?
someone
Yes,
else, he's
yes.
saying anta, right?
Anta, yeah. There's another one. Nambai wo ana. Anyways, I forgot the ayah. Innani ana anallahu. Innani ana anallahu. So ana is coming twice.
إنني أنا الله لا إله إلا أنا فاعبد.
Ana fa'budu.
فاعبدني.
Fa'budni. So sometimes these concepts come in Quran for emphasis, and we have to taste these concepts because they are coming from they are putting more emphasis on something. So we have to then the scholarly debate starts why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is emphasizing on this thing. What's so significant about it? And that's when the pondering of the Quran begins. But first we have to understand the ayah. Amru said, Uridu daftaran. Was simple. Uridu, I want. Daftaran, a notebook. Al-Abu said, Amashtaraitu laka daftaran fil usbu'il ma'adi. Amashtaraitu. Did I not bought for you, laka, for you, daftaran, a notebook, fil usbu'i, last, fil usbu'il ma'adi, last week?
Yeah.
What should be the harful jawab? Naam or bala? Bala, because the question is asked in negation. Didn't I bought you?
Didn't I buy you?
Didn't I buy you? Thank you.
Notebook.
Didn't I buy you a notebook
Notebook.
last week? Bala, of course. Walakinna zaka daftara waraqahu ghayru musattarin. Okay. Bala comes, that's fine. Of course. Walakinna, lakinna. min akhwatu inna. Min akhwatu inna. And where is the ismu lakinna? Zaka. Zaka is ismu lakinna. And ad-daftara. Sadasa, this is your badal. There you go. This is your badal. Zaka is mansub because ismu lakinna is mansub.
Can you translate this? Walaka?
Of course, bala, walakinna, lekin, however, that notebook, warakahu, pages of it, ghairu musattirin are unlined, not lined. Ghairu musattirin. That's what he's saying. So, zaka is your ismu lakinna. Ad-daftara is the badal, right? Where is the khabar lakinna? And what kind of khabar is this?
What kind?
Warakahu ghairu musattirin is the khabar lakinna. What kind of khabar is of 5 types?
Right.
So what kind of khabar is this? Ismu, jumla, ismiya, nominal sentence.
Okay, in that
Nominal
context-
sentence coming
okay.
as a khabar for
Right. Okay.
lakinna.
In that context.
Lakinna. Okay, in that context. Where is the khabar? Waraqu,
Mhm.
mubtada, wa huwa mudaf, hu mudaf alayh, ghairu. And remember, ghairu, after ghairu always comes mudaf alayh. There are few particles in Arabic language, when they are used, they will be followed by the mudaf alayh. And what is the mudaf alayh? Some kind of possession. Why we say Zul Jalali wal Ikram? Why not we say Zul Jalalu? Technically it should be Jalalu, because it's marfu. Nouns are marfu. Why we say Zul Jalali? Possessor. Zu, Ghairu, Ayyu. They're all particles in Arabic language which will be followed by Mudaf alayh. And Mudaf alayh in some contexts represent possession. Possessive. These are the emotions we should understand. So, waraquhu ghairu musattirin, pages of it are not lined. Uridu, I want what? Daftaran. There you go. Za comes. Zu, za and zi. Zu declines. So he said, Uridu, I want what? Daftaran. Notebook. Za. Now, zu is marfu. Zul Jalali wal Ikram is marfu. In its mansub form, it becomes za. Kamran bhai, I know it's tough on you. Za is mansub because you're new. Za is a mansub form. But why is it mansub? Hmm? Because it is a naat for daftaran. Because that notebook, he wants a notebook with what kind of adjective? With lines. And daftarin is mansub because it is mafulun bihi. Why it is mafulun bihi? Because uridu is a mutaaddi verb, right? Uridu, I want what? Daftaran. What kind of daftaran? Za, possessing, and warakin is your mudaf alayh. Musattarin. And musattarin is another naat for warakin. Trust me, if we understand these things, our IQ level will be 150 or more.
I just have one small question. So if we were to replace za with ma'a, would the sentence stay the same?
Sorry?
If we replace the za with ma'a, would the sentence stay the same? Ma'a means with. So with pages that are lined, would the sentence stay the same or would the...
Oh, ma'a. Ma'a.
If it said uridu daftaran ma'a waraqin musattaran, would the sentence...
Could be.
Is that the same?
Could be. Could be. Yeah.
Doesn't
But
fit
ma doesn't fit here. I mean, if I'm thinking about it, ma is usually used with aqil.
Exactly.
Aqil and
Yeah,
ghair
yeah,
aqil.
yeah.
Ma is usually used with aqil. We're
Aqil.
talking about ghair aqil here.
Yeah. Like animate
Okay.
objects and inanimate.
You know, aqil and ghair aqil. Remember that difference? So So there is a slight process going on. That's what I'm saying. Once we understand these things, our IQ level will go up. Trust me.
Yeah, that's why I was just asking what
Yeah,
difference it
yeah,
makes.
yeah.
So that's
Because
it.
it's aqil and ghair aqil debate, right?
Also,
good
Nabil
question.
bhai, ma means something is with it. Two things. This is
With it, and this is
on it. Yeah.
On it.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Part of it.
Mhm.
It's za. So there is, but that's a good thought. And this is exactly what the grammar brings in a person 9. They start questioning in a good way the ayahs of Quran, and then that's where the pondering begins. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used this? Why not this?
Yeah, I think the question arises because of the translation. Both translations is with. So with means like
With is with.
With is with.
With is with, but then
But
with is not. It's not. And za has a possessive. Ma does not have the possessive nature to it. Za has a possessive nature to
Possessive.
it, right? So and then
In it.
yes, in it,
In it.
In
Like ma is with it.
with it.
Za is in it.
Inna ma'al usri yusra. That is ma is two separate things.
Inna
They're
ma.
with each other.
Two things together.
Innama
Inna ma'al usri yusra.
ma'al usri
Ma'al
yusra.
usri
With ease, with the hardship, there is an ease.
Right.
So ma
With.
is like two
So
things.
there are two things differently. There is no possession there. There is reflection and possession.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good
Reflection,
debate.
possession.
That's a,
Yeah, that's a good
reflection and possession.
Possession. That's a good.
Right?
one.
That's a good one. So that's a good question. And that's exactly what we need. So there was a scholar here. Somebody asked him. How many times you've finished Quran, and he said there is one Quran that I finished every week. There is one Quran that I finish every month, and there is one Quran I've been trying to finish for the last 40 years and haven't finished it.
SubhanAllah. It's all depth you want to go.
It's all depth. How much depth you want to go?
And this also proves that the translation cannot exactly get the right.
Translation would not justify, would never
Capture the
justify.
actual
Quran
meaning.
cannot be translated, period. I mean, yes, we get
The essence.
essence and the context. Somehow we get, but then we need to understand the language to get the real spirit, the real message. And there is no depth to it. The more we go, the more. Al-Abu said to Hisham, Maza turidu anta ya Hisham, and what do you want, O Hisham? Hisham said, Ana ma uridu shayyan al-ana. I do not want anything right now. Now, this is a concept we learned in the last class. Remember that?
Ma being used as no.
Yeah, ma is coming as harfu nafi here, but we are negating fail madi. When we are negating fail madi, then we use ma. When we are negating fail mudare, then we use la.
Yeah.
Technically, generally. But when then al-ana comes, this is a concept we learned in the lesson number 15. When al-ana comes, then we negate fail mudare with ma. Ana ma uridu shayyan al-ana. I do not want anything right now. Al-Abu said, Aina akhukal Hussein. Where is your brother? Hussein. Hisham said, Huwa fil hammami. He's in the washroom. Simple, right? Fil jumla ismiya. Simple mubtada khabar. Al-Abu said, Maza yuridu huwa. Now, Hisham is not present. All sons are present. Amru, Umru, everyone is present, right? But Hisham is present, but Hussein is not present. So he's asking each son, what do you want, what do you want, what do you want? But when he said, where is Hussein? Hussein is not present, so immediately he said, Yuridu, Huwa, third person. You see how he moves? He said, Maza Yuridu Huwa, what does he want? Hisham said, Huwa yuridu halala. He needs halwa.
Something sweet, something sweet.
Sweets,
Maybe he
sweets.
wants for himself as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Halawa. Plural, in plural. Huwa yuridu halawa. This is a nominal sentence. Where is the mubtada? Huwa. Where is the khabar?
Yuridu.
Jumla failure coming as a khabar,
As a
right? Yuridu halawa. What is the grammatical value of halawa? Mafulun bihi. Mansub. Because yuridu is mutaaddi verb, transitive verb. Al-Abu said, oh, okay, now he's turning towards his daughters.
Daughters.
Antunna, turidna. His daughters is present in front of him. He said, Maza turidna ya banatu. What do you want, oh my daughters? So you see how Dr. Saab is moving from one to another? Yeah. So, but the key here is for us to remember that this is the form 4. Form 4, arada. Right? Therefore, the sign of Mudare is getting a Dhamma there. Dhamma there. So Aisha said, Ya Abati. Ya Abati is used in Quran as well. It's a very polite way and respectful way of addressing your father. Ya Abati, oh my father, oh father. Anta ashtaraita li milafan qabla usbu'in. Ishtara. Okay. We talk about the 3-letter verbs. We talk about the 4-letter verbs. There are 5-letter verbs as well, and 6-letter verbs are there too, but they are not frequently used. So ishtara is a 5-letter verb. Ishtara, 5-letter verb. Okay. So ishtaraita, ishtaraita.
For the drink? Is that
To buy.
to buy?
I think the root is shara. Anyways, shara, ishtara. We'll talk about when the time comes. So Aisha is saying, oh father, can you bring or buy for me, li for me, milafan, which is a file folder, qabla usbuin. You bought a file folder for me last week. Uridu, I want, al-ana, right now, milafan, file folder, akhara, another file folder. Akhara means another.
And it's
Akhara. And what is the feminine of it? Ukhra. But
So
let's-
why is there a mud on that?
file folder, milafan,
I think it was there med on
Ah,
akhara, akhara.
so you elongate that?
Elongate that. Yeah. Why milafan is mansub?
Uridu, that's
Mafulun bihi. So al-ana is coming. So
in between.
yeah, in between in between the verb and the mafulun bihi, al-ana is coming.
Yeah.
That can happen. Rarely, but that can happen. Al-Abu said, Maza, okay, now he's only addressing Hafsa. Hafsa, Anti, Turidina. What do you want? Maza Turidina. In Turidina, where is the file? Where is the
Yeah.
file? In Turidina?
Yeah.
Ya is the file. Where is the sign of it being marfu? Noon. Okay, very good. Maza Turidina Anti, Ya Hafsa, and what do you want, oh Hafsa? Hafsa said, Uridu Haqiba Tan or Tun? Haqiba Tan, because it's mafulun bihi. I want a bag. Al-Abu said, Ama indaki Haqibatun, do you not have a bag? How should she reply, with naam or bala?
Bala.
With bala, because the question is asked in negation.
Negation.
She said, bala, of course. Indi haqibatun hamra'u. Okay, colors. not my favorite topic, but colors are masculine and feminine, and they are diptotes. Okay, because colors are not much used in Quran, and our objective is to understand Quran. I mean, the colors are there, but so ahmaru, red in where is it?
I think it's the page
Ha,
before.
ahmaru is the color in masculine, and hamrau is a color in feminine. Okay, and they are diptotes. They are diptotes. We know what diptotes are. So she said, of course, in the haqibatun, why we using the feminine form of color here? Why not the masculine form of color here? Haqibatun, ta marbuta is there. Very good. Because haqibatun is muannas, is feminine. Uridu, I want what? Haqibatan ukhra. Now, akhara was used with the masculine form. And now we are talking about the feminine form akhara, ukhra. Because haqibatun is feminine. Uridu haqibatan ukhra, sawda'a, black. She wants a black one now.
So
It's the feminine of aswadu. Aswadu. See, small little concepts Dr. Saab is throwing at us every now and then. So,
We are learning in the morning, that's the thing.
yeah, we need tea. Al-Abu said, okay, now he is talking to Suad. Maza turidina ya Suad. I don't think we'll be able to finish because we are almost
It's 1 hour already.
almost 1 hour. Okay, so we'll just finish here. Al-Abu said, Maza turidina ya Suad. He is talking to Suad. What do you want, O Suad, in the anti form? Turidina. And Suad said, Indi. Mistaratun is the ruler, right? Saghiratun, she said, I have a small ruler. Uridu, I want what? Ukhra, kabira, tan. I want the big one. Another big one. Ukhra is the feminine form because we are talking about mistaratun, which is a feminine. Right? Mistaratun is the feminine. So we'll just stop here. I think that's enough for today. We'll keep this, hopefully this board stays until, and then next week we'll again revise what we talked about. Okay, and then inshallah try to finish lesson number 16. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إسرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah khair.